Good evening and thank you for joining us. Premier Doug Ford is acknowledging a second wave of COVID-19 has hit Ontario. That admission comes after 700 new cases were reported today. It's the highest recorded daily increase since the pandemic began. Colin DeMello reports.
After weeks of rising COVID-19 case numbers, the province finally acknowledged what many had already concluded.
Our health officials are telling us that Ontario is now in the second wave of COVID-19. It'll be worse than the first wave we faced earlier this year.
The new provincial record might be shocking, but public health officials say it is directly related to the province's testing backlog. Until this weekend, there were 65,000 cases that were still under investigation. The number today is down to 49,000, contributing to the rise in cases. Still, Ontario's top doctor says it's concerning.
This is a wake-up call for us. We have to pay attention to this in a serious way.
Health officials say over the last few days, key indicators have been nudging in the wrong direction. More people are ending up in hospitals, in intensive care, and on ventilators. Some fear it could only get worse.
When we await flu season any day now, that could really spell trouble for our healthcare system. It could lead to more surgeries being canceled and a lot of people with non-COVID related health issues suffering unnecessarily.
The Ford government is now racing to get ahead of the second wave by hiring and retraining thousands of healthcare workers for both the hospital and long-term care sectors. But many are wondering if another provincial lockdown is on the horizon.
We need to know what metrics will move us to stage 2. This is something that people and businesses all across the province need to know.
Public health officials acknowledge that the criteria to move the province backwards is still in the works, and they're still assessing how the new social gathering limits and the new restrictions on bars and restaurants will actually pan out.
We'll need another 7-10 days ahead to see if that will start to bring that number down on a pan-Ontario basis and in the areas of high exposure.
This time, however, the province says it'll act with more precision, suggesting regional restrictions instead of an Ontario-wide lockdown. Colin DeMello, CTV News.
Efforts continue to establish a new coronavirus testing site in Thunder Bay specifically for school-aged children. Concerns were expressed last week when it was suggested city schools might play host to such a testing center. But now another possible location has emerged. Corey Nordstrom has that story.
At one point last week, there were more than 1,000 people waiting to get a COVID-19 test in the Thunder Bay district. A large number of those were children and parents, stemming from the protocols needed to be followed in order for kids to return to the classroom. The regional hospital's Dr. Stuart Kennedy oversees all COVID-19 assessment centers in the city. He says they have narrowed down the location for a new testing center, specifically dealing with school-related backlog, and Confederation College is one of the leading candidates.
There's not a lot of student traffic. They have a larger parking lot for accessibility, and they have an area that is just right off the parking lot that will house our needs from an assessment center perspective. That still has to be confirmed by Public Health and Dr. DeMille, but certainly it looks like an appropriate site at this point in time.
The drive-through testing model returned this weekend to help the backlog. A partnership between the hospital and Superior North EMS saw roughly 450 swabs being done outside of the district health unit, in addition to 300 at the hospital's assessment center. But with more tests being done, there's added strain on the labs that analyze them.
And they need to, sort of pick it up down in public health to make sure we move those turnaround times at an enhanced pace, because it's not acceptable to wait 7 to 10 days for results. It's not acceptable for anybody, certainly patients as well as the school children and the parents who need to get back to work.
And by week's end, another testing location will be up and running at the Lakehead Nurse Practitioners Clinic in the old McKellar Hospital. Clinical Director Pam Delgatti says they've already started to hear from clients eager to book a swab.
Initially, what we will be doing is offering it for patients of our clinic of school age to help them stay in school and help parents stay at work. That's our goal, to keep everything going in the community.
Dr. Kennedy plans to hold the joint announcement either later this week or early next week, at which point it will be determined if Confederation College will be the site for the new testing center or if they'll be going with one of the unused buildings by either one of the local school boards. Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
The Ontario government is providing a new funding package for small businesses in the north to help deal with the challenges of COVID-19. The $20 million Northern Ontario Recovery Program will provide grants to businesses that will help them adapt to the so-called new normal. Adam Riley has details.
Over the last 6 months, the world has completely changed, and it has had a heavy impact on small businesses, especially in Northern Ontario. Now $20 million in funding from the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation to a new Northern Ontario Recovery Program aims to soften the blow, according to Energy, Northern Development and Mines Minister Greg Rickford.
Essentially is an opportunity for your business to apply for up to $25,000 in grants, so not a loan component to this, to help you run and make your better business as we face what is still, especially with the second wave, an uncertain future.
Rickford says these grants are retroactive to March of this year, so businesses won't have to spend new money on a variety of costs, including construction for new patio spaces, HVAC air filtration systems, the purchase of new tap payment systems, and even online expansion and marketing that must be COVID-19 related. Rickford says he takes issue with the lack of federal support through FedNor, but is leaving the door open for them to join.
If FedNor does do something in response to this, we lead, they follow. We would be happy and be very open to a stackable concept. That's something that we take that we do anyways. Certain programs within NOHFC are allowed to have stacked applications.
The announcement of this new program means that as of September 30th, the NOHFC will be winding down to allow for the recovery to take effect over the next 3 months. Then Rickford says it will be replaced with a new and improved version of the NOHFC, which will be announced in January.
In collaboration with Northern partners and my fellow Northern colleagues, we are developing a streamlined NOHFC program that will make it easier for more people and businesses to apply and support more projects, especially in rural and northern communities.
Businesses looking to apply for the grants have from October 1st until December 31st to do so. Adam Riley, TBT News.
An inquest into the death of a 42-year-old man at the district jail got underway at the Thunder Bay Courthouse today. Timothy Elliott died while in custody on September 12th of 2015. Under the Coroner's Act, an inquest is mandatory when a death occurs while in custody. The inquiry is expected to last 5 days, and the jury will hear from 8 witnesses. It will then make recommendations aimed at preventing further deaths in the future. A Toronto man who was under court order not to be in the city of Thunder Bay following a firearms arrest is back in jail after being found by police Sunday in possession of a handgun. The arrest came after they were called to a McLaughlin Street apartment to investigate a firearms complaint. The man initially gave police a false identity, and it was only after they discovered who he really was that the gun was located. 27-year-old Anthony Omar Talbert has been remanded on custody facing several new charges. While there have been some slight delays in developing construction documents for the multi-use turf facility at Chapels Park, but it's not expected to have a major impact on the project's completion date. Council will receive an updated timeline at its meeting this evening. It was originally thought that the documents would be ready this month, but they're now expected to be finished in November. The project will go to tender shortly after that. The city expects to award a contract in February, allowing construction to begin in May of next year. The facility is then expected to be finished next fall in September or October. In other business, Council will have to wait a bit for a report on possible future uses for the former Dease Pool site. Community engagement that was supposed to take place over the spring had to be pushed back due to COVID-19. That public consultation will now take place during the fall. City officials say that they expect a report to come back on that site plan in March. And City Council, as it waits for that report on the future of Dease Pool site, has one man coming forward with a solution for them to consider. John Kelly with Thunder Bay Skateboarding Commission believes that the site would make a perfect skate park location. Kelly says it could also be one of the cheapest options available for the city. Mike Mohorovich has that story.
John Kelly grew up around the corner from Dease Pool. He knows the neighborhood, he knows the location, and he has an idea for the site where the pool used to be. Kelly wants a skate park built there, something he says can be done for the fraction of the cost of other recreational facilities.
I mean, I grew up in that area as well, and the pool was well used, and I like to get something repurposed for the use of that community. So I mean, I could do a skateboard park there very cost effectively. I mean, a skateboard park there would cost anywhere, say, between $200,000 to $400,000, depending on the quality of the skateboard park they want to put in there, which is less than 1% of the future soccerplex that they're looking at putting in. So I mean, I think it's a really good investment. You're really valued in. Low maintenance, no staffing. I mean, look at this park behind us here. It's 12 years old, no maintenance.
Kelly's idea of building a skate park where the pool once was isn't just about giving the skate community another location. It's also about giving the kids in the area something to do. COVID-19 has made team sports difficult, but skateboarding is relatively low risk and gives kids something to rally around.
If you look at the kind of community we've built down here at the marina, I mean, the kids need that same kind of community there. The park here is a safe space. If you come from any diverse background or wherever you're from, once you come here, you have a safe place, you have a family, and you have friends, and you know that whatever troubles you have in the rest of your life are going to be left at the door when you walk into this park. And I'm going to want to create the same thing at Dease Park. When we grew up there, and Dease Pool and Dease Park was our sanctuary away from that.
In addition to building the new skate park at Dease Pool, Kelly is also hoping that City Council will give him funding one day to revamp other skate parks in the city. There are 4 or 5 that are in dismay, and he believes that with a small amount of money, he can give them a second life.
Curtin River, County Park, South Nebing, Delaney. There's been a couple of parks. They're 20 years old now. I mean, they weren't properly maybe constructed. They didn't really know how to construct skate parks 20 years ago like they do today. And they were made with asphalt, which is now crumbling and deteriorating to the point where the parks are no longer usable for skateboards, unfortunately. So, I mean, again, what we did in 2012 was we did a refresh at West Thunder where we ripped the asphalt out and replaced it with concrete. I mean, for a quick, say, $10,000, $15,000 fix, these parks could be refurbished and have good use for those kids in those neighborhoods.
Michael Mahorovich, TBT News.
The merger between Oliver Papoonge and Conmee took another step towards being completed today. A report by consultants has been published, and it concludes the merger would be a positive change for the rural communities. Several months ago, consultants from Grant Thornton spoke with community members to determine what their biggest concerns would be from a potential merger. The answers were clear-cut. An increase in taxes and a limiting of services would have them up in arms. Now that report is out, and Oliver Papoonge Mayor Lucy Kloosterhoek says it shows services and taxes won't be affected in her community. While in neighboring Conmee, there will be a slight drop in taxes. Kloosterhoek says the new community will actually save $300,000 per year after the merger.
The committee is suggesting that we take those savings for 3 years and put them in a reserve fund. It would total approximately $1 million. So after 3 years, if the merger takes place, all of our taxes will remain as they were in 2020.
Kloosterhoek says part of the idea to merge with Conmee is to avoid a merger with Thunder Bay forced by the province that could significantly alter taxes and services in the rural community. Thunder Bay Atikokan MPP Judith Monteith Farrell is demanding the province step in to help save jobs at the city's Bombardier plant. The company announced last month that it will lay off 125 workers in October, with another 75 to follow in coming months.
Workers at the Bombardier plant in Thunder Bay are losing their jobs this fall. Toronto needs new streetcars and subways, and we can make them in Thunder Bay. What is this government doing to keep the plant running and put Bombardier staff back to work?
Our government has unveiled and put into motion the most ambitious subway expansion program in the history of this province. Part of our subway expansion program, Mr. Speaker, enables the City of Toronto to fund the purchase of new vehicles that can be built and will be built at the Thunder Bay plant. I've had the opportunity to speak directly to the Mayor of Thunder Bay about this, who understands that through our negotiations with the City of Toronto, we have provided the ability for the City of Toronto to then put in orders with the Bombardier plant in Thunder Bay.
Mulrooney went on to say that the federal government must come up with its portion of the funding to support Ontario's transit plan. And the first ever fall market was held yesterday at the Da Vinci Centre. Over 20 different vendors were spaced throughout the facility, selling items ranging from cooking supplies to homemade crafts. The event was held after the original Mother's Day market in the spring was canceled due to COVID-19. Vendors were offering a variety of items, including baking and cleaning products, knitting items, and homemade jewelry and crafts. The event was limited to just 50 guests inside the market at all times, Anne-Marie Pulowski is the general manager of the Da Vinci Center. She says city residents were eager for the long overdue market.
We were very lucky to have a lineup waiting outside all distance down the sidewalk. It was very nice to see people eager to come out and support local businesses. People here are doing their Christmas shopping and just kind of getting out and about, which is really nice to see. We also have our spaghetti going on at the same time, so we have a lot of people enjoying the center today. So it's very nice to see.
Now, with the success of Sunday's marketplace, Pulowski expects the fall market will become an annual event at the Da Vinci Center.
Perfect timing. What a time for the fall market. It's starting to really feel like fall, Fiona. Those temperatures are just starting to drop.
Yeah, it certainly plummeted from yesterday. We had sunshine, we had beautiful fall colors. Today,